Okay, so when you're ready, just name, background, what the Katalysts are all about, etc. So anytime you're ready.
So I'm Nameless Crusader, second in command of the Justice Crew of Oshawa, also known as the Katalysts of Ontario, or the Katalysts of Canada. I've been at this for, got to be close to 3 years now. Not gonna lie, I was very nervous my first night out, but after a while you get used to being out and having everyone stare at you, and I must have been called every name in the book, mostly from passing cars. But of all things to be inspired by, I was inspired by Kick-Ass, which unfortunately is a very violent movie. But once you dig underneath the Hollywood dressing, there's a very real message about what's stopping people from coming out here and doing this sort of thing. So I thought, what the hey, made a Facebook account online with my Nameless Crusader profile, and then this gentleman here contacted me, Aftershock, and got me out on my first patrol, and then 3 years later, here I am.
Great.
How's it going? My name is Aftershock. Everyone in Oshawa knows me as Oshawa's Turtle Man, mostly because of the green and the shell-looking appearance of my outfit. My origin started out as a kind of lonely, bored security guard, working the night shift for about 4 years up in Whitby. Basically one night while reading my usual graphic novel and nothing happening going through my gate between patrols, I decided, you know what, I could be doing something more than just patrolling around my, area here at the place I was stationed. And I'm thinking, there's so much evil and corruption and criminals and bad guys in the world. Why the heck can't superheroes exist? So one night, after I was done a shift from work, I had a quick shower, got undressed, threw on a really quick makeshift outfit that I had, just kind of like 1 or 2 pieces that weren't really that spectacular looking, and then just kind of went out and walked around my neighborhood, kept an eye out to see if anyone needed any help, kept an eye out to see if there was any criminal activity going on, and kept an eye out to make sure there was no cops trying to see what I'm up to, because at that point I still wasn't sure what I was doing was exactly allowed and what the legalities of everything was. Back in September of 2009 when I started this. Eventually I patrolled a few different cities like Orono, Newcastle, and Curtis, and eventually I made my way here to Oshawa, and I slowly but surely gained some knowledge in the laws and what I'm allowed to carry on me, what I'm not allowed to carry on me, and eventually started kind of getting a name for myself in the public, just kind of going out, talking to the public, letting them know I'm here for their benefit, for their safety, and that someone just generally cares about them. And slowly but surely I've got members over time come and go. The longest running member is my partner, Nameless Crusader, though. And yeah, so we've been the Katalysts of Canada / the Justice Crew of Oshawa for a good 4 years.
Awesome, great. All right, so anytime you guys want to move out and get this going, lead the way.
So what's the game plan for tonight?
Well, we're basically just going to head down, go through kind of like the quick little trails there, head out and around, maybe hit the hot spot near the parking garage. The police have told us that there's been a few street level robberies and some assaults going on in that area. The pathways, the nature trails are very dark at night. There's quite a few citizens that like to walk there for, just like a shortcut to and from their place or to a friend's place. And once again, there's been street level robberies and assaults and different muggings and things like that happen. So we want to clear through it and make sure there's no one in need of help, make sure there's no one committing any criminal activities, and just see if we can potentially help the homeless along the way, because I do have some homeless outreach packages.
Yeah, it wasn't caught on camera, but just before I started filming us, a guy came up to us in this very park and asked us if we were selling weed. It's pretty much anywhere and everywhere if you look hard enough.
Yeah, and here in Oshawa, Ontario, it is still pretty illegal, so if we do catch a pot dealer in the act, we will have to report it and have police involvement. So, let's begin, shall we?
Sure, sure. Yeah, one thing I was really impressed by was how you guys also handle garbage cleanup in the community as well as homeless outreach. I think those are just important things to do in addition to the patrolling, you know?
Oh, indeed. Every, couple of weeks or 3 weeks, we like to get out and try to make an effort to go to the public parks and playgrounds and just clean up the trash and litter that's, just splattered everywhere. Because you wouldn't believe the amount of times that we've come across broken glass or makeshift bongs out of pop cans or heroin needles that we've had to just discard. One of our members used to carry around a biohazard box that we drop sharps in and stuff like that and get rid of. So that's what we try to do, as well as like the homeless outreach and the safe patrols, crime prevention, etc.
Currently, are there any other active members of the Katalysts?
There are. There is a gentleman by the name of Ninja Knight in Toronto. There is a gentleman by the name of Polar Man in Kingston. And up in Ottawa, we haven't heard from him in a while, but he goes by the name of Captain Caregiver. You could see some of him on our YouTube channel, and he's been featured in one of our episodes. So yeah, I'd say there's about 4 or 5 of us all together right now.
Cool, cool.
In Toronto, he's kind of got his own little team started. Did Polar Man not say something about having somebody around there interested in helping?
Polar Man?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I can't remember if Polar Man had someone up in Kingston who's interested in joining or not. I know Ninja Knight in Toronto has a teammate named Black Hood, and they have a mutual friend that once in a while helps them out called Farsight. I believe he might be going by Charade now, but they're not official members as of yet. We are supposed to be doing a patrol with Ninja Knight and Black Hood again really soon, potentially in Toronto, but we still have to confirm the date on that.
Cool. I skimmed through your Facebook page. I saw some pictures. I think they would be from 2014 or so. They had members you had at the time. I saw Bombshell, Brightwing, and a few other people. Are they still kicking around these days, or?
Well, they're still alive. Bombshell and Broken Silence had some issues where they couldn't stay in Oshawa any longer and had to move to separate cities. Bombshell now resides in Kingston, where Polar Man lives. He's kind of inactive at the moment due to some personal health issues. And Broken Silence, I don't think he really has too much interest in the costumed activist side of things anymore.
Right.
He has a job and other things that he's more trying to be focused on right now, which is fair. I mean, not everyone can afford the time or the money to really go out and do what we do.
Right.
And it's it's not for everyone either. I mean, even if you do have the time and the money to do what we're doing, it takes a special person, and it takes someone that has a real need to help their community in a specific way, in such that we do. Because otherwise it'll just kind of be like a flavor of the week activity because of the new superhero movie that's in theaters, I mean.
Right.
Especially there's a big spike in that sort of thing. Whenever there's like a real life superhero themed movie.
Right.
Like Kick-Ass or what was the other one? A comedy. He had like a pipe wrench.
Oh, it's just
right.
called Super. And then there's Defendor with Woody Harrelson.
Yep.
I find those movies pretty amusing. They're not really anything to base what we do very well, though. It's very hyper violent and just very unrealistic. Crime isn't waiting around every corner ready to strike out at you.
Right.
There's not opportunities every couple of seconds to go save the day. We're just gonna hang it right here.
Sure.
Members come and go over the past couple of years.
Caution, Crimson Justice, Action Man,
yeah. My time.
Yeah.
Brightwing, Bombshell, and
Broken Silence.
Yeah.
We also had a member named Regulus for a bit there. He came out on, I think, 2 or 3 patrols, and that's pretty much it. So this kind of area here is more of the open part of the Oshawa Trails pathway, but underneath the bridge there and beyond, it's more covered in foliage and like a more forested area, so it's not as like out in the open and bright. So
you might not think there'd be people hiding out under there, but funny story. One night we were a little further down the trail by Central Collegiate there, and we're going underneath a bridge, a lot like this one. And as we pass underneath, I'm like, I can hear something to my left. So I look, and sure enough, wedged up underneath the bridge there, there's a man there who, possibly homeless, possibly high on something, wasn't quite sure. He just kind of hunched over. He's like, hey. And it kind of freaked me out, because up until that point, I had no idea he was there.
yeah, I mean, he was pretty much from me to Nameless Crusader away. Before we even noticed his presence because of all the dark clothing he was wearing. We were kind of incognito at the time and didn't have our flashlights up. So like by the time we got close, like it was a little unnerving because we always kind of expect the unexpected, and we weren't sure whether we were going to be attacked. We didn't know if we were going to frighten the person that was there in the dark and make them react negatively towards us. And it was kind of like a split-second kind of alarming moment, but everything was fine. He did potentially seem to be on some sort of substance and just trying to hide out under a bridge to kind of sweat it out maybe, so that he wasn't a problem to the public, which is good, but it's also kind of one of those funny, creepy moments that happens while you're on patrol. It's harmless, really, but
yeah, especially with the stigma that the trails pathway get as of late.
yeah, I mean, because it's well known for, like I said, street level robberies, muggings, assaults, and just for someone to pop up out of nowhere and you're not really expecting to kind of get your adrenaline running pretty quick. But
we're going to continue on our way to, I guess, downtown.
yeah, we're just going to continue along the path this way and head down towards our second hot spot for the night, and maybe loop back to sweep through downtown to see if there's anything going on. It's a Sunday night. It's usually pretty dead. According to the statistics that I get from the neighborhood watch officer Morgan Dobson that gets sent to my email, a lot of the crime goes on between anywhere from 11 till 2 or 3 in the morning, and usually on Thursday, Saturday, and Friday nights. But normally never Sunday, because normally everything is just calming down from the weekend's activities and everyone's getting ready to go to bed and go to work the next day, right? So luckily tonight's pretty quiet, but since it's a long weekend, we don't know what we might run into.
Yeah, could buck the trend. Be like Saturday levels of craziness.
Yeah, and with the fireworks going off because of the May 2-4 weekend, it might be hard to discern what is a firework and what is a gunshot. So best to keep the wits about us tonight, just in case.
Yeah, like normally wouldn't really have to worry about guns in Oshawa, but if you follow the DRPS at all, there have been a few cases of shootings lately.
Yep.
In Oshawa, unfortunately, which kind of raises our caution just a bit to the point where we have to consider that a possibility. Unfortunately, neither of us are equipped to take a gunshot at the moment. We can only handle edged weapons or blunt weapons. We've been considering upgrading to, I wouldn't say nullify the threat, but at least be better guarded against it.
Yeah, like actual Kevlar vests or anti-stab proof vests at least.
Right.
What we wear right now is basically would withstand anyone who wants to like take a few punches or kicks, or has like you know, like a wooden bat or like a small little knife on them. I myself actually have Kevlar gloves underneath, so if someone does so I get fresh with the knife, I can just grab it out of their hand, and that'd be the end of the story. But if you have seen Kick-Ass, if someone wants to stab you, they're not going to make it too obvious. They're just going to come up and just give you a couple of jukes on the side or something.
Right.
So if anyone gets too close, we normally try to keep a meter distance or an arm's length away so that we can prepare for anything. If anyone's walking up behind us, we normally take a step back and let them pass. Just because, you know, I mean, it's not Toronto, but you never know when something silly can go down, and it's not worth a hospital trip.
Obviously, to anybody who's never heard of what we do before, it might look kind of funny because we're kind of colorful and look like we're costumes and that. But it does tend to attract some negative attention from people who are, inebriated or just looking to start something.
Well, the problem with the human race is the general reaction to things that they don't know is fear. And some people handle fear with making distance and getting away from the scenario. Some people handle fear with aggression and anger. So they don't know what we're about. They might have assumptions. If they're some sort of criminal that we're unaware of, and they think that we're like an undercover cop for whatever reason, because we do get that.
Right.
Hey, are you guys cops? That could trigger someone that might have something on them that no one else knows about, but they know they have it, so they're a little paranoid, they're a little nervous, and then they see some dudes in armor and whatever coming around, and it could just trigger some hostile reactions. So we do try to like have some sort of protection due to the reactions we get sometimes.
Right.
Otherwise, I'd just be out here in spandex and a cape. No, I wouldn't wear spandex.
Are there any other real-life superhero groups that you admire or are inspired by? That could be anywhere, in America, here, etc.
I actually, anybody who comes out here and does this sort of thing, regardless of how you do it, your reasons for doing it, or even how often you do it, if you're out here helping people, costumed or not, I respect you.
Right.
That's why I'm out here doing this.
For me, I started doing this at least a year and a half before I even knew the term real life superhero, or RLSH,
right,
or what we call RELSH, exists. Basically what happened one day was I went online, I'm like, okay, there's got to be some other idiots doing this too, right? So I looked online, I looked up superheroes in real life. That was what I searched for. And what I came across was a website called reallifesuperheroes.org. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I hope it's not a LARP thing. So I sign in, I make an account, I throw up a really bad picture of myself in a stupid domino mask. Just because, like I said, back then I didn't have any cool outfit, and I just threw something together. And it was blatantly obvious what my identity was, so that quickly changed. However, once I realized there were other superheroes out there, there were other costumed activists out there, and basically on the website I found out that a lot of them are commuting and talking in the community on Facebook. They would go by such and such code name _ RLSH, or such and such code name XAlt, which stands for Extreme Altruism. So I migrated from reallifesuperheroes.org to Facebook with a new account as, what was I going by back then? I think the Emerald Avenger, which is actually inspired by one of my favorite comic book heroes, the Crimson Avenger. He was actually DC Comics' first masked Avenger. He just wore a black domino mask and a red fedora and cloak kind of thing. So that's basically the moniker I went by, the Emerald Avenger. And I started meeting new people on Facebook and talking to them, and eventually that's how I met good old Shameless here. He was another RLSH residing in Oshawa. I'm like, man, I need some more people doing what I'm doing here, the more the merrier. So I contacted him for about a month and a half straight, and eventually convinced him to throw on the monkey suit and come out and take a walk around with me. And he eventually agreed to it, and we met up at the General Motors Center and made history.
It's ironic because you come from a very heavy superhero background. Like you love Marvel, DC.
Yep.
When I started this, except for any of the Marvel movies that were out at the time, I wasn't really big into superheroes or comics. So, as is probably reflected in my gear choice, I come from a bit of a paintball background, which I get called a lot.
He's known as the paintballer.
Yeah. Not as fancy as Turtle Man, but hey.
Yeah, so what we're doing now is not crossing the road and jaywalking for one, but we're going to be heading down to the parking garage down here on Bond and sort of Mary Street, I believe.
Yeah, give or take.
Give or take. Just going to take a walk around, just make sure we don't hear any screams for help or anything, comic book cliche like that. We're not too sure about actually walking into the place because we think it might be private property.
Well, so it technically is. One thing we have to be very careful about is we can't really enter people's private property without their express permission, right?
Right.
We're trying to give the police as little reason to get angry at us as possible.
Yeah, we don't want them to slap our wrist.
Yeah, like we're trying to be out here and actually be of service to them rather than a pain in their neck.
Yeah.
So, no carrying weapons of any kind, no entering private property without permission. Don't start or be aggressive in conflict situations. We're very, very passive.
De-escalation is kind of our motto. If we can avoid a physical altercation or anyone getting physically involved in anything, we will do that to the best of our abilities. However, if someone just insists on, putting their hands on us or someone else, we will interject and physically remove the suspect from the victim.
Yeah, because as colorful as our costumes, I guess you could call them, are, they're about as effective as they are colorful. So we can take some punches and hit some net and walk away.
Whereas opposed to some 90-pound lady would not be able to, wearing street gear, Save the world, get the girl.
I saw some pictures of, I guess, your costume throughout the year, how it's evolved and changed.
Yeah.
Do you want to just dive into what's influenced your costumes change and where it might head in the future?
Well, like I said, it kind of just started with something just really quickly thrown together. My favorite color being green and black. So my very, very first costume was simply just all black, kind of black cargo pants, black button-up shirt. But then on top of that, I had basically a green leather trench coat, but the arms were up to here. So I just cut off the arms and had a vest, like a trench vest. And then I had a fedora, and then a green domino mask. And then eventually, realizing that a domino mask isn't fooling anyone except for in the comics, I upgraded to a full-faced impact protective green mask. Basically a paintball mask that looks like a human face, but just all green. And after that, I just slowly started acquiring more gear that would allow me to not get so hurt in a struggle if I ever came across any aggressive citizen or a criminal or anything like that. and just kind of started putting money away and just kind of try to get more and more protective gear. Some of it worked, some of it didn't. I have a video on one of my Facebook pages, either the Turtle Man page or the Katalysts of Canada page, where I'm being interviewed by the Jamaican Paddy place near the Memorial Park, and I'm wearing something completely different than what I'm wearing now. It was kind of like a weird motocross, really tight fishnet suit with like a little square here that was maybe protective, and then on the back it was like this big green spine thing. And it didn't work for me. It made me look too frail and skinny, and it just didn't have the look that I wanted, and didn't have the amount of protection that I wanted. So I quickly sold that and got this chest plate and got these pads on the arms here. So basically just upgrading the armor, upgrading the safety, kind of trial and error, figuring out what allows you to move the best, stuff like that. I mean, I currently own a chainmail vest that I could be wearing right now, but it's too cumbersome. It makes some of the equipment kind of slide off, and it's also like another 40 pounds.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty much about finding the right balance between mobility, comfort, defense, and something that people don't often think about is being able to access anything that you have on you right away, instead of having to take a minute to take off your backpack, dig out what you're looking for. And by the time you have it, whatever you needed it for is long past.
Right.
yeah, well, I mean, just to reference the comics again, not that it's realistic, but Batman, his utility belt has, I think, about 30 compartments, and he knows exactly where everything is at all times. So it's kind of along those lines. You gotta know what you have, where it is, and how quickly you can access it when you need to.
So yeah, just the other thing for me was when I started, my outfit was very, very dark. It was like all black, and just to be artistic, I said screw it, threw some white and red paint splats on it to at least make it look a little artistic. But that was not coming off as very friendly.
Right.
So I picked up some red and white and black camel pants and shirt, just to kind of brighten the outfit and make people realize that I'm not trying to be shady,
Right.
and actually bring some visibility and make myself more noticed by passerby so they don't get freaked out when they come close.
Like even the outfit that I'm wearing, if it wasn't for the neon green cape, in the lesser lighted areas of Oshawa, like this is actually pretty dark, even though it's all green for the most part. And we have been told by passerbyers that, like, wow, you guys look pretty intimidating, and you scared me for a minute there, and we have to, like, oh, sorry ma'am, or sorry sir, this is not our intentions. What we're actually doing is this, this, and this.
Right. Right.
So we want to, like, be as friendly as we can to the public, while it's still intimidating enough to the criminal element,
Right.
which is sometimes a hard balance.
Definitely. I saw a picture a while back. It was of a costume design for a Black Lantern concept. I'm not sure if that's something.
The black lamp?
The Black Lamp. Sorry. Right. And I was reading a description about your motives and how it reflected your current views on society and things like that. Do you want to dive into that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, just before we went on our winter hiatus, I was going through kind of a darker time in my life. Not anything super duper crazy was going on, just my spirits were down. I was going through a little bit of depression.
Just a heads up, I might get stopped and talked to if I had to.
No worries. And that's basically why I decided to change the color scheme and whatever, to basically reflect how I felt and how society was progressing and regressing into a more apathetic, less caring version of itself.
Right.
I can explain a little more, we're just gonna wait.
Yep.